Hey y'all, what's up? I'm back with another video today, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my warning dream. I was riding around with my friends, like kicking it, So we were going to something. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the destination was, but we were going somewhere. And we had stopped to get out because I remember saying, like, I don't want to drive your mom's truck. Like, it was a huge truck, and y'all know me personally, I am short. So I cannot be driving nobody's truck. And it was a huge truck. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to drive this truck or whatever. So we pull off and we all get out. And we walked the rest of the distance to wherever we were going. And I seen a couple more of my friends that were familiar to me. And so we were just talking and whatnot. And then the scene switched to me being near my older sister and my niece. And like my niece had an attitude about something. I don't know what she had an attitude about. But basically I had bought this shirt and it was like a really cute shirt. But I let her have the shirt, and she like did some DIY, whatever they're doing now with shirts. I don't know. It's like you cut it up the middle, cut the sides, and tie it around or something like that. And it ended up cute. And like she was happy after that. So she was like willing to take our pictures. And I told him, like, because of the scenery we were at, I want to take pictures. I like pictures. So we go to take the pictures. And while we're going to go take the pictures, my sister starts yelling at one of her sons. And then as she's yelling at that one, I'm yelling at the other one to come back closer to where we are because he's like running off talking. I see him talking to some man. And I'm like, stop talking to him. Like you don't know him. He's a stranger. And he's yelling back at me like, I'm just talking to such and such, Tosh. Like, it's okay, Tosh. Like, my nephew is like one of those little people who's like, you think he's an adult inside his body the way that he talks. So he's talking to me like that in the dream, like, it's okay, Tosh, I'm fine, da-da-da. Mind you, he's only like little. So I'm like, all right, whatever, like, go in the house, like, because you're not listening to what I'm telling you to do, so go in the house. So he goes to go in the house, and I guess like the man was trying to argue with him. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, he is a little boy and you're trying to argue with him and you're a grown man. So the man goes, I'm going to go follow him in the house. So he goes to follow him in the house and he's like coming at a fast speed. So I turn around like, no, you're not going in the house. And then my sister is behind me like, you're not going in my house. So he walks up on the porch like he's going through the door. And before he can even get through the door, I remember running full speed and jumping on his back, like fighting with him. So we're swinging around on the porch and I'm on his back. You know how you like fight somebody and you're on their back, da-da-da-da. So that's how we were fighting. To the point where it's like he smiled at me. I remember him smiling at me, like basically like what I was doing wasn't affecting him. Like me trying to put up a fight, it wasn't affecting him. And then it got to a scene where I remember, I don't know how, but I got him to the ground. He was way taller than me. But I got him to the ground and I remember hitting him. I remember punching him repeatedly in the face. Like punching him, like blast him in the face repeatedly. And I'm like, okay, like he didn't get to my nephew. And I'm constantly fighting him. And then I remember, the steel piece that's in the middle, like of a door that divides the door from like the outside to inside so stuff can't get in under your screen. That thing was there. And I remember bashing the man's head off of that silver thing. And I kept doing it over and over and over. But in my head, I'm like, I don't see any blood, so he's not dead. So I kept doing it. So we were going at it. And I felt like, it still wasn't doing anything. And I felt like he wasn't dying. So I remember it was like a hammer in my hand. Like the front of it looked like the hammer part where you like, the flat head part. It looks like that. And then the other side was supposed to be like those two prongs. It was like something like a wrench on the other side. It wasn't a tool that I've seen before. But anyways, I used that tool and I remember I started hitting him over the head with it like over and over again. And when I stopped, I looked at his head to see if because he wasn't moving anymore. So I lifted his head up to look, after I was repeatedly hitting him, and his eyes were open. Like it's like he was dead, but his eyes was open. So I stood up and I looked out into my yard, and I remember it was a lady across the street with like one of those gardening white hats on, and she was just staring at me. So for me, it was like, oh man, if he's dead, somebody seen me kill him. So I'm thinking in my head, I have to tell him myself. Mind you, while he was even trying to get into the house and like run up the stairs to follow my nephew, I was telling him like, call 911, call 911. I'm trying to figure out what to do about his murder And when I looked back down, I was holding the head, and the eyes were in the head, but it wasn't like skin. Like it wasn't like a face on it, but it had eyes and it was a head. And then when I looked down at the porch where we was fighting and I was banging his head off that silver piece, his body was gone. There's like, I run up the steps and I'm telling my sister, like, I had to. But I'm crying hysterically, like, I had to. And she's like, what's wrong? What are you talking about? Like, you had to what? And she was like, oh, you were fighting the man. Like, she was like, what? You beat him? Is he okay? Is he alive? And she said, is he alive? And I said, I had to. And she was like, no. She just started saying no. She said, this always happens when things are going good. I was hurt because, like, I knew I was going to jail for killing someone. I was like, that's murder. I knew I was going to jail for it. So I just started crying. And I remember looking at her eyes and asking, why was I fighting him alone? My whole family and all my friends were at the house. And why was I fighting him alone by myself? Why didn't anyone help me? Is what I was thinking. And she said, I don't know. And she was like, well, you know, if you think about it, everyone is divided right now. Everyone is fighting by themselves. And I started to think. And I was like, why was I fighting the fight spiritually by myself? So I woke up crying. And literally, as soon as I woke up crying, my sister walked into my room and was like, how was your nap? And then I just turned. Because mind you, I'm just waking up from the dream. So I just turned. And she seen my face and seen, like, the tears. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. For me, it was like I was still trying to remember everything that just happened within my dream. But I was hurt by it. You know, I knew that there was a consequence for my actions. And I remember in the dream before I woke up saying, please let this be a dream. Please don't let this be real. Praying, talking to God in my dream. This can't be real. This can't happen. And that's when I woke up. So after sitting there for a while, you know, just praying about it, talking to God about it, like, what is it that you're trying to tell me? What is it that you want me to see? Out of everything that was happening with me and my friends, taking pictures and all that, I remembered the fighting part the most. I remember fighting a stranger. And what stuck out to me in a dream was first that the body was gone after I fought him and killed him. The body was gone. And then instantly the scripture was reminded to me, Ephesians 6:12. And it's about spiritual warfare. It's about fighting with God's armor. So I'm like, okay. Spiritual warfare. So yeah, after I woke up, I sat there for a little while to think about everything that went on. And I got on YouTube a little bit after that. And as I was like praying, asking God, like, what is it that you wanted to tell me? A video come across my timeline, and it was called, the title was, It Was an Attack. So I was like, okay, I gotta click on this. And it's by Alicia Motley. If you guys are not hip to her, if you don't know who she is, she has a page on YouTube. And I believe her academy is called like Angels Academy. But she has some really good prophetic words as well. But yeah, so she was really touching on spiritual attacks. Like when the enemy comes to attack you and why. So I highly recommend that video. I will put the link down in the description box. I was basically telling my sister how I was praying with a friend the night before about spiritual attacks. And I was just praying for her protection and her healing. So that very next day, there was a spiritual attack on me within my dream. And it let me know that we are not fighting with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of darkness. And I, like, just the fact that I was like asking my sister, you know, like, my sister is here, my friends was here, why didn't anyone help me? This fight is not, it's not a fight that you have to fight alone. First off, God's there to fight for you. But it's also not a fight that's meant for us to handle in our flesh. A lot of us are going through a period in our life where we are transitioning. A lot of us are going through this place in our life where we are being awakened to the truth. And we are being disconnected from the lies that we were told, that we believed. And because of that, the enemy is coming to attack you. So whether you feel like you are alone, whether you feel like other people around you should be helping you, just know that God is with you through this entire fight. But also know that even though you don't have to fight the fight physically, you still have to come prepared. And it was funny because I woke up this morning and I went to church, and my preacher was speaking on being prepared for battle, being prepared to fight. And I was like, whoa, you know, like that spoke directly to the dream that I had yesterday. God has this way of showing his children, giving his children a warning before something happens to you. He doesn't want you to be hurt. He doesn't want you to be unprepared when the enemy comes to try to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants you to be prepared. He wants you to be confident and bold in knowing that he will come to fight your battles. And something else that really stuck out to me in the dream was when my sister said, well, you know, everyone has been divided. Everyone has been fighting by themselves. And I'm like, that don't even sound like my sister. My sister is not the person to be like, I'm in a fight, and she's like, oh yeah, well, you know, everyone's fighting for themselves. No, that's not my sister. Like, something like that was weird that she said that. Almost like, you're in this alone. And what I realized is that more than anything, God is calling his children to come together. He's calling us to come together. We cannot fight this fight alone. No matter how much culture is telling us we're self-made, you could do it alone. It's every man for himself. We were not put on this earth to be by ourselves. We were put on this earth with people for a reason. It was meant for us to have a relationship. You are more likely to win a fight with more than one person than just with one person. Why do you think in culture people jump people? Because they know they're less likely to lose. There's no other reason for you doing it. To prove a point that you've lost. And the same goes for the church. We have to come together. We have to bring unity. And it's funny because the night before I was telling my friend the same exact thing. There are so many people who are actually trying to live the right way and who are actually seeking God's face, but they feel like they are lonely, and that's when they are giving up. Because that's when the enemy is coming to attack them. They feel like they don't have nobody. When there's somebody out there who is going through the same thing they're going through. I strongly believe in my heart that right now, God is stripping us away from the identity that we once knew, the identity that we conformed to, so that he can show us who we are in him, and we can come together to fight. But yeah, that's my dream. That's the warning. Closing out, I just want to read y'all the scripture in Ephesians. And it's titled The Armor of God. And it reads, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggles is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with a belt of truth buckled around your waist, with a breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." This message bless you guys in some shape, way, or form. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I love y'all. See y'all next time.